Hi guys, Adam Wilborn here, and we are thrilled to say today's video is brought to you in partnership with Surfshark, but more on that in a little bit.
Just as every action has an equal and opposite reaction, every Hollywood blockbuster has a cheap and forgettable mockbuster. The Exorcist spawned House of Exorcism and Jaws begat Tentacles, but it was Star Wars' massive success that led to a flash flood of knockoffs. In amongst all the cheap Italian imports and modestly made domestic programmers were some big budget offerings from the major studios, who were beginning to see the benefits of throwing large budgets at B-grade material. A decade earlier, 20th Century Fox had been on the verge of bankruptcy, having lost millions on such prestigious flops as Cleopatra and Dr. Dolittle, but now they stood to make, once the sequels and spin-offs were totaled, over $1 billion. Particularly anxious to climb aboard the bandwagon was Universal, at one point the mightiest studio in Tinseltown, which was no doubt regretting turning George Lucas down about 5 years earlier. They didn't learn from their experience though, and later turned him down again when he offered them Raiders of the Lost Ark. Oh well, at least they have Dark Universe. Even a modestly budgeted sci-fi picture needs stars and good makeup to succeed, and by the early 80s, the cost of movies had begun to skyrocket, making the genre a riskier proposition. After the release of Return of the Jedi, copyists began looking for cheaper ventures and seized instead on Rambo and George Romero's zombie films. The craze was great while it lasted and actually produced some kind of fun films, and given 'tis the season to be Star Wars, I'm Ewan, you're watching What Culture, and here are 9 films that wanted to be Star Wars. Number 9. Battle Beyond the Stars. Released shortly after The Empire Strikes Back, Battle Beyond the Stars is one of those infamous Roger Corman knockoffs, but this one takes inspiration from Akira Kurosawa's The Seven Samurai, as well as its Americanized remake, The Magnificent Seven. Once again, a poor farmer assembles a group of mercenaries to defend his people, known as the Akira, obviously from some aggressors, this time a tyrant named Sador, played by John Saxon. The cast itself is also kind of interesting. Robert Vaughn reprises his lost-his-nerve gunslinger from The Magnificent Seven, George Peppard, who was in Damnation Alley, 20th Century Fox's other sci-fi film from 1977, plays a character named Cowboy, and Earl Bowen, Dr. Silverman in The Terminator, is one of the aliens. Among the crew are James Cameron, Dale Ann Hurd, and James Horner, who later worked on Aliens. Oh well, you gotta all start somewhere, I suppose. Number 8. The Man Who Saved the World. Of all the knockoffs that greeted Star Wars' huge success, none are as jaw-on-the-floor strange as The Man Who Saved the World, which rips off footage from George Lucas' original film, steals the John Williams theme from Raiders of the Lost Ark, and throws in ninja battles for good measure. There's no use attempting to summarize the plot, particularly as some prints aren't subtitled and I don't speak Turkish, but suffice it to say, if you've ever wondered what the Turkish equivalent of Ed Wood might assemble if given free rein to cobble together his own space opera, well, this is that movie. In amongst all the stock footage are zombies, wizards, and skeletons on horseback, though special mention must be made of the film's villain, who wears shoulder pads and spiked headgear. Unlike Darth Vader though, he's defeated way too easily. All the hero has to do is karate chop him in half. And people thought Boba, Snoke, and Phasma died too easily. Number 7. Metal Storm, the destruction of Jared Sin. From a cyborg named Ball, whose mechanical arm sprays a poison that traps people inside a giant crystal, to Kelly Preston as a ranger seeking vengeance against a warlord named Jared Sin, this Charles Band production has everything. If by everything you mean insanity. It's a synthesis of Star Wars, culottes of Death Star trench-like shootouts, and Mad Max 2, and even finds room to rip off the speeder bike chases from Return of the Jedi. There are no cute Ewoks, no Yub Nub, no It's a Trap, and the special effects are not particularly special. Originally released in 3D and bearing a striking resemblance to the same year's Space Hunter, Adventures in the Forbidden Zone, Metal Storm is shoddily made, but it has an ace up its sleeve in the form of Mike Preston, who played the leader of the besieged community in Mad Max 2. He plays Jared Sin here, but he's neither destroyed nor does he unleash a metal storm. Can't believe I've just been lied to by a 1983 movie I hadn't even heard of until this week.
Now, as we mentioned, today's video is brought to you in partnership with Surfshark, who are our favourite VPN providers here at What Culture, because the last time we worked together, they let me do this.
Howdy, partner. Want to watch new episodes of 90 Day Fiancé?
By now, you've heard about the benefits of a virtual private network and how great they are in terms of allowing you to access your favorite shows and websites in other countries. But they're about so much more than that. Allow us to be serious for a moment. Did you know that some websites increase their prices based on your location and browsing history? Not with a VPN. Did you know when accessing public Wi-Fi, your confidential data can be accessed by malicious third parties? Not with a VPN. Did you know a lot of banks will immediately freeze your account if you attempt to access it from another country? An understandable precaution, but not with a VPN. Did you know that some countries are starting to ban things like Facebook and TikTok because they absolutely hate the idea of you having any fun? Not with a VPN, Donnie. I'll floss all damn day long if I want to. Well, thanks to Surfshock, you can be the master of your own digital destiny across unlimited devices thanks to the incredible offer we have with them. Simply click the link in the description and enter promo code WhatCulture for 83% off and 3 extra months for free. 83% off. If I removed 83% of my clothing, we wouldn't be able to put the video out. That's how much that is. And on that mental image, back to the video.
Number 6. Message from Space. Sonny Chiba in the Japanese version of Star Wars, you say? Sounds like a cult classic in the making. When the peace-loving people of Jalusia are attacked by the villainous Gavinus Empire, their leader sends out the 8 Liabi seeds, which look like glowing walnuts that will recruit the 8 warriors who can liberate their planet. This leads to one of the film's strangest moments. Upon finding a glowing walnut in his drink, General Garuda, Vic Moreau, looks at his glass and announces, "I've been selected by the gods," as opposed to me, who'd probably come out in a terrible, terrible rash. Disregarding logic, science, and good special effects in exactly the same way that director Kinji Fukasaku's earlier The Green Slime did, Message from Space is too stodgy to be in the first rank of Star Wars knockoffs. But if you're in the mood for a scrappy sci-fi movie where some of the villains look like kabuki dancers, you could do worse. Number 5. Star Odyssey. The fact that Star Odyssey was director Alfonso Brescia's 4th sci-fi movie released in the wake of Star Wars tells you how adept the Italian filmmaker was at recycling ideas. So it's no surprise that the picture also reuses sets, costumes, cast members, and effects shots from his previous productions. The plot, in there somewhere, concerns a waffle-faced villain who shows off his technological superiority by running black and white stock footage of bombed-out cities, which so freaks out the puny Earthlings that they send some badly dubbed scientists in silver jumpsuits to defeat him. So far, so bland, but what makes this a must-see are Tilt and Tilly, 2 lovesick robots who look more like metal-skinned copies of Howard the Duck than C-3PO. Depressed, suicidal, and given to lecturing our heroes about how all they want to do is die in peace, they make Marvin the paranoid android look like the life and soul of the party. But also, hashtag relatable content, right? Right? Number 4. Battlestar Galactica. When first broadcast on ABC, Battlestar Galactica was described as perhaps the most blatant rip-off ever to appear on the small screen by Time magazine's TV critic. That didn't stop producer Glenn A. Larson from re-editing the series into 3 feature-length films: 1978's Battlestar Galactica, Mission Galactica, The Cylon Attack, and Conquest of the Earth, which released in 1981. Needless to say, this attracted a lawsuit from George Lucas and 20th Century Fox, who claimed the show plagiarized from Star Wars. Larson and Universal Studios' legal department immediately hit back, claiming Lucas had in fact based his signature film on silent running, footage from which appears in Galactica. After Universal counterclaimed that Lucas had also infringed on copyright held by the old Buck Rogers serials, the judge dismissed the lawsuit as being without merit in 1980, by which time the TV series had long been cancelled. On the upside, I have heard good things about the 2004 TV series, so maybe this is one Star Wars knockoff worth sitting through. Maybe. Number 3. The Black Hole. Who could have ever seen a time when Disney owned the rights to Star Wars? Well, not the makers of The Black Hole, the House of Mouse's 1979 attempt to jump on the sci-fi bandwagon. You can see why the movie never ignited quite the same passions as Star Wars. The characters are at best underdeveloped, the story is practically non-existent, and the cute robots are comical without being amusing. At the same time, though, you can kind of see why it developed minor cult status. Alongside some Oscar-nominated special effects, you get Robert Forster, Anthony Perkins, Ernst Borgnine, and Maximilian Schell in the same movie. And what kid could forget the sequence of the fireball? Definitely not me, who has absolutely seen this film many times growing up. I am not lying, no siree. Look, there's the droid we all love. Look at him. What's his name? Droidy Boy 2.0? Vincent? Oh, I like mine better. Number 2. Space Hunter: Adventures in the Forbidden Zone. Wolf, who in no way resembles Han Solo, is cruising through the galaxy when he learns of the reward offered for the safe return of 3 women who've crashed on Terra 11, a barren wasteland ruled by pasty-faced mutant Overdog, played by Michael Ironside. Oh, I love this already. Because he has alimony payments, rent arrears, and 165 parking tickets in space, Wolf accepts and immediately runs into Washington, played by Ernie Hudson, and Nikki, played by Molly Ringwald, who might have been intended as a Princess Leia type, but comes across more like that office fire alarm that keeps on interrupting Wrestle Talk every Tuesday. You know the one, it's all really annoying. In plot terms, though, that's all she wrote. Until their climactic encounter with Overdog, our heroes fight off Terra 11's residents, including Amazon women, mutant children with Molotov cocktails, and random stunt performers dressed in fat suits. It's like a weird Mad Max Star Wars hybrid, but look, I'm here for Michael Ironside having a good time, which I assume we all are. And number 1, Star Crash. Tell a Star Wars fanatic that this cheap Italian knockoff distributed by Roger Corman has more heart than some of the prequels, and once they've finished laughing, they'll bust your beak for you, or they'll slap you with the comic book and run. You know what nerds are like, I'm one of them. Luigi Cosi's movie has everything that George Lucas's space opera had: a score by an Oscar-winning composer, larger-than-life characters, quotable dialogue, and a truly memorable villain. Here, said antagonist is cackling Joe Spinell, who wants to rule the universe with red monsters that appear to have escaped from a lava lamp. On the side of the Angels are a lightsaber-wielding David Hasselhoff, a police robot with an inexplicable southern drawl, and, most memorably, Caroline Munro, who spends half the film wearing a leather bikini, even when sentenced to hard labor in a mining colony because the aesthetic, I assume. There are, of course, bigger budgeted and much better movies going, but they don't have an ounce of Star Crash's dumb fun, and no Amazons on horseback either. Call it kitschy and juvenile, but it has a B-movie charm that's as entertaining as it is endearing.